Okay, for this video, we are going to cover the Action Manager, the Cityworks Action Manager configuration that is required for the trigger points that are used by the Cityworks to Bluebeam connector. As we move through the demonstration or the other training videos, we noted that we had several required trigger points: route to Bluebeam Studio, routed for review, revisions required, and the approved deliverable are the 4 trigger points that are required for the connector. And we'll cover each of those in this video regarding the Action Manager configuration for those. So once I'm in the Action Manager configuration tool in Cityworks, for the action templates we chose webhook, and then the list of webhooks in this environment is shown. And I'm highlighting the route to Bluebeam Studio webhook first as the first trigger point. And there are several required elements for this webhook to be set up. First and foremost, there is a required URL. This URL will be provided by Velosimo upon provisioning a customer tenant. It will be different per customer. So Velosimo will provide this URL once the customer tenant has been provisioned. The method should always be post, and we should always check the urgent box to make sure that the webhook fires immediately upon triggering. The other configuration that is required inside of the webhook is we are going to use the custom tab. We're going to set it to enabled, and we do need to provide this standard JSON format inside of the template field, and this is what Velosimo is using to trigger the event. So we're passing essentially this JSON is passing Velosimo the case number, the case task ID, the case object ID, and a defined event value that tells Velosimo which event we're using, or which event this is in the system. So you can see here that the route to Bluebeam Studio is defined as route to Bluebeam Studio. So this is the webhook side of the route to Bluebeam Studio Action Manager configuration. And then in addition to that, you need to tie it to some type of event in Cityworks. So we will have a action event on a webhook similar as the route to Bluebeam Studio, and you'll notice I've set these up as case task item completed. So this is at the completion of a workflow task on a Cityworks PLL case. I've used the action template that we set up on the previous tab and associated it, and I'm associating it to all my templates in your system. This is where implementation can choose which case types these business rules apply to. I'm using all for purposes of the demonstration and setup here, but if you need to limit this action to certain case types, this is where you would add only those templates to allow for that. And then the last piece of configuration is we are triggering this event to fire on the case task of a result code equal to a certain value. And in this case, the value is route docs, and that is the result code for the workflow status value that is being used for route to Bluebeam Studio. So this defines the trigger for the route to Bluebeam Studio. Next, we will move on to the routed for review. Okay, for the routed for review action template and event, let's review that. If we highlight the routed for review, the configuration of the webhooks themselves are going to be very similar across all of the trigger points. We will use the same URL that is used in each webhook. So the URL that Velosimo provides will be reused in each trigger point for the webhook. They will always be a post. They should always be marked as urgent, as indicated previously. And then again, we will use the custom tab enabling this, this configuration here with the enabled checkbox. And then again, the JSON in the template that is used is going to be very similar. The one difference is the velosimo event will change based on the trigger point. So you can see for routed for review, we have changed the velosimo event in the JSON to routed for review, and that is how velosimo knows to trigger the routed for review logic when we receive this event from Cityworks. As with the other webhook templates and events that we have configured, let's look at the routed for review action event. So if we look at that particular item, again, it's going to be very similar. On the case task item completed, we're using the action template routed for review that we set up in the template section. Again, I'm applying this to all my PLL cases in this case, but you could limit this to certain PLL case types or templates based on unchecking this box and selecting the case templates here. And then again, we're using the result code for the proper workflow task status. So we're looking for the result code of PR routed, which is the routed for review status within the workflow task. So that covers the routed for review item. Next, we will cover the revisions required item. So for the revisions required action template, again, it will follow the same format using the URL provided by Velosimo. It is a post method with the urgent checkbox using the custom tab with that enabled. And again, the only difference in the template JSON is going to be this Velosimo event. So for this particular webhook, we're sending Velosimo an event name of revisions required, and that is how Velosimo knows to process the revision required logic when we receive this event. So that is the webhook configuration for the template. And again, let's review the action event. I have my revisions required action event. Again, very similar, case task item completed, applied to the revisions required action template, applied to all PLL case types. This could be configurable by case type by the implementation team. And then I'm firing this on the result code equals revisions required, which is the Cityworks result code for revisions required within the workflow. As you can see, these are very, very similar in nature, just changing individual values to make sure that they're firing at the right time. The last trigger point in this process is the approved deliverable, and you can see here we're following the same format using the same URL, post, urgent, custom tab enabled, and then again the change being the Velosimo event is sending us the approved deliverable so that we can process the approval logic when we receive this webhook. As with the other ones, there is a approved deliverable action event that has been configured, follows the same format as the other ones, with the template association to the action template and the PLL case templates, and I'm firing this on the result code of approved deliverable. So this covers the Action Manager template and event setup within Cityworks.